announce to let everybody know that we're on. Let's see.
Hey, all you beauties coming in here. Welcome, welcome, beauties and gentlemen. Good to have you here. Going to be talking smack about the important things. Come from the drama rooms and come in here and get your learning on.
All right, give me a few seconds here and we'll get started.
I just pinged on Miles in here too. So
Okay. Well, all right, y'all. Thanks for coming in. And I got Al on here. Make sure he's.
hey, Al.
Hey, how's it going?
Very good.
So to kind of introduce you guys, Al is my brother. He's the one who watched over me, my guardian angel, and kept me out of trouble and my head in the books, head in the right direction. So he specializes in trust and business credit, amongst other things. And he's the one who kind of taught me everything that I know on the ropes of how all of this stuff works growing up. So I got a hold of this information like really early. I had a mutual fund actually when I was 17 years old. So he started me off on the right foot and kind of pointed me in the direction that I needed to go going forward and growing up. So I got a little early start on a lot of this stuff. And part of the thing that we talk about a lot and we were putting together as far as thinking about putting this new movement together with Noematic Elevation is making sure that people have access to what they call asset protection or high finance. Um, that's what a lot of the buzzwords are for it. But essentially, it's knowing how to operate in trust instead of operating out of a sole proprietorship under your social security number or not having any structure as far as your business credit and having everything set up correctly. And that hurts us a lot in funding and in preserving wealth to pass along to our loved ones, whoever that may be, friends, family, husband, wife. A lot of that information is not available for us to uh, move forward because we weren't taught that. It's not something that they get on the news and tell you about, but it is something that everybody that's wealthy has knowledge of, especially your billionaires. Um, what I would like to do is kind of get you guys like a framework, and then we're gonna go into. I'm gonna pass it to Al. The whole end game to all of this stuff is for you to have a trust, and not only to have a trust, but to know how to operate that trust. And the trust should be your shelter for all of your unencumbered um, assets, like your house, your cars, your gold, your jewelry. All of that stuff should not be in your name. You shouldn't have anything in your name except some credit cards that you're leveraging. You shouldn't have your car in your name. You should, if you have got real estate, they all need to be in separate LLCs under the trust. And what we're showing people how to do when you get it set up correctly is how to take that trust into the bank and get your funding tax free. So I'm gonna kind of pass that over to Al and let him elaborate a little bit and talk about ownership and just the power of having your trust set up and how that can benefit you as far as your taxes and everything. Because I know a lot of black business owners, we have a lot of problems with taxes, and I went through that too. So Al, if you want to elaborate
Can
on that.
can I actually may I just respectfully can I just back up a little bit before Al goes and give just Tabaj, can you give some simple framework to sort of have people pace with you? And what I mean
Hmm.
by that is because some people are in different, as we've done these rooms, people are in different stages of building their credit profile, discharging their debt, all these things. So can we just for a frame of reference speak first about the personal credit, how that leads to corporate credit, how that leads to a trust, so that we can just briefly, just so that people can understand the appropriate trajectory that's going to make the most sense, and they can also locate themselves on the journey and see what's next for them. Can we do that
Yeah,
briefly? Yeah.
absolutely. So all of this, what we do is start you out with your personal credit. That's like your foundation, just like a house has a foundation. When you pour the concrete, your personal credit, and that's where most people are going to start at, is gives you the leverage that you need to get your business started. So a lot of people have, and you can do this with no money down. As far as going to business credit, it just takes a longer time, but you need to be able to personally guarantee with your personal credit any kind of business that you have. If you really want to get some money, they'll give you $5,000 or $6,000 credit cards, but that big chunk of money you're talking about, like the lines of credit, 100,000, 500,000, $1 million, you have to have your personal credit be stellar. And it's not just your credit score itself. A lot of people will say, hey, I have a 750 credit already. I don't need to go through your personal credit deal. But you do, because you need to have your file correct. There's a certain mix of installment loans, like buying jewelry. A lot of people will do that as an installment loan, where you're paying monthly until it's paid off. It's not revolving like a credit card where there's a monthly bill. You got a $10,000 limit, goes back to zero after you use it and pay it off, and then the 10,000 is available. You always want to have one or two installment loans. You need a couple of revolving credit lines, lines of credit or credit cards, and you need maybe like a loan, a home loan, car loan, anything along those lines right there. So what I would suggest that people do, is always start with your personal credit. That's your foundation. And once you get your personal foundation straight, we get you funded at that level. So now you have some leverage to go move towards your business credit, because now you got funding. You have, 50 to $100,000 worth of funding on your personal credit. Now you, whatever business that you're in, you can actually get it started. But most importantly, you have the money to get a CPA to get your financials set up. You have the money to go get an attorney to at least put them on retainer to draw up any contracts that you may get into for whatever type business that you're in. You have the money to actually go to the bank and put the money in there, because they want to see that your balance sheet, as far as your banking, they want to see that you have seasoned money. And what that means is you just didn't put $10,000 in your bank account and then you're coming to ask me for $100,000 tomorrow. They want to see that that money is coming in monthly on an average, is sitting there, it's not moving. Um, you also can have secure cards, and we'll go over a little bit of that, for your bank. They pull those products off, of your business banking. I'm sorry, for the secure cards, and they change these. They call them banking products. These banking products change from time to time, and some banks will have secure cards for certain periods of time, some won't. And we keep up with stuff like that, as you should too, but that's kind of our business. So we get that part together. Now the cool thing about your business versus your personal credit is they're going to give a business a higher limit. So Wells Fargo, for example, Wells Fargo may give you a personal credit card for 15 to 50,000, right? probably going to be on towards the lower end because it's on the personal. But on the business, you might be able to get a credit card with the same type of score for your business, which they call it a paydex score or a business credit score, which that's separate from your personal credit. You might be able to get $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 line of credit and grow it that way. But you need to be able to personally guarantee your business for that amount. Now, people get scared when they hear personally guaranteed, but you can always get that removed once you have a good payment history. And we show you guys how to do that too. You can call to the bank after 6 to 12 months and say, hey, I want to know, can I have my personal guarantee removed? And now your business can stand on its own. That's the second tier or the second part of it. After we get that set up, we move you to your trust. So if you have a successful trucking company, for instance, right? You put that in your trust. You got everything set up. You're rolling. You're doing $10,000, $15,000 a month. You want to expand. Well, now you can go get that business valuated, and that's why you need a CPA and an attorney, which we have some recommendations for. If you don't have anybody, we can point you in the right direction. And what that's going to do is it's going to give your trust a value. You hear people talk about promissory notes and writing bonds and doing things like that to um, back their business. Warren Buffett is a good example. He bailed out Burger King at one point. Well, he did that with his trust off of a certificate because his trust was able to back up Burger King's debt. So he wrote them an instrument because his trust had value. So he didn't give Burger King money directly. He just leveraged his trust with the bank to say, okay, I'm going to help get their books together. And once XYZ is done, I'm going to take my certificate back. That's the position you want to be in. So you're not, when you get in under the trust, that's when you can go get that big money, that 10, $15 million. But your structure has to be set up right. If you don't have that structure set up right, which we show you how to do, the framework of everything from personal business to trust, you're not going to make it anywhere if you mess up on any one of those steps. And that's why it's hard for a lot of businesses to scale up and work out a business trust under a trust. Is several. You can spider web this thing out to death. But the first step that you need to do is get set up. So that's kind of the framework of it, and you can use your imagination for that. But getting to that trust point to where you can have value with those trust certificates, just like a stock certificate, you have a trust certificate where you can take it into your banker and say, hey, I want to go buy this $100 million apartment complex. Here's my trust certificate as collateral, so I can get the money to go do that. That's the position that you want to be in, and that's a powerful position.
So can I say one more thing, Tobias? Thank you for
Mhm.
that breakdown, because I think that's helpful, very helpful. Before Al speaks, because you spoke in a previous room about having a paper and why it's important to be in a paper before, all the economists are sort of reiterating what you said a few rooms ago, which is that we're definitely headed towards a recession, probably a depression, and you've said that having a paper is going to be really imperative to survive this next thing, and you want to get it in place before the recession happens. Can you make that correlation for everybody? Just what's a paper, what, and in terms of what you just said, and how quickly could someone structure that? Let's say they have good credit, decent credit, and now they have to make the next move. How could they get to a paper in the next 6 months? I yield.
So in the next 6 months, and I suggest everybody like really start taking it serious because this next 6 months to a year is going to be a doozy. Starting with your personal credit, you need to come up with a strategy and make sure that you don't have any kind of late payments or any derogatory marks on there if possible. You need to start working on them. No, the world is not perfect, and if you can get it all off, then fine. But sometimes it's better to have one thing on there than 15. So what the A paper is, anything above 680 and up, the bank considers that A paper. In a recession, what happens is all of these different programs where they're giving you like the starter credit cards, your $500, $5,000 cards and everything, you're going to start watching them pull back on that. And this goes along with mortgages too. And they have underwriting standards. So right now everything's good and they're letting people through. But as things in the economy get worse and worse with the recession and this global depression we're about to have, only people with 780 plus credit are going to be able to get any banking products and leverage anything financially. So that's what she means by A paper. Anything below 680, they consider it subprime. So you're below premier. That makes sense. So those people that don't have their credit straight in the next 6 months are going to get hit by a wall, and it's not going to be pretty. This happened in 2008, and it was just here in the United States. And if you listen to the news and stuff, they're starting to bring up '08 and the recession and the one that they had in the late '90s. But this one's going to be global. This is what's going to make all of this bad. And they've given out so much free money with the stimulus thing from the COVID, the stimulus checks and the programs, the EIDL and PPP. Somebody has to pay that money back, and it's inflated. And this whole time was making it worse as well. When the last housing crash happened, the banks start buying everybody's notes, and they've been holding them this whole time to basically prop up the market. So now what they did, they called it quantitative easing back then. So they're taking pressure off the financial system by coming in and buying the bad assets and holding them. Well, earlier this year, Jerome Powell, who was the Fed chair, um, raised the interest rates and he started dumping those mortgage-backed securities. So they're doing the opposite. They're calling it quantitative tightening. So if you hear that word, that's what it means. So the Federal Reserve Bank, which is the only bank, the U.S. Treasury is actually the only bank. The Federal Reserve is actually going by and dumping all of this stuff out back into the market, but there's going to be no one to buy it. So they just gave their putting pressure on the financial system to get the spending down because of the inflation. And they have to do it. It's just going to be so bad because they waited so long and then they're still giving out stimulus. It's going to be wild when this breaks down. And if you're not prepared um, personally with your credit, your spending, cutting a lot of the spending out and the trips and all of that stuff, and start to focus and save, getting gold, not gold certificates, actual physical gold and silver, anything that you can get that's an asset that has value to hold on to while this goes. You'll be in a great position if you get all set up in the next 6 to 12 months. Because what's going to happen is when everything gets cheap, all of the billionaires are going. They call them the 40 thieves. It's an old saying from when I was growing up that my brother taught me. They wait till everything gets cheap, and then they come out and buy up everything. So while you're running around and they're on the news saying, "Oh, it's a recession, everything's going down," oh, and if everybody's panicking, they're walking down the street buying up all the houses and the assets and stuff to sell them back to you once they get on the news and tell you that everything's okay. It's a game. So I hope that kind of explains a little bit about the A paper and why you need to be prepared with your personal credit and your business credit and trust. Those three steps.
And I just want to speak to a couple of things that are in the chat. Journey Woman says we're fucked. Yes, and I think if you start moving like the top of the market, no, I'm in a mastermind with folks at the top of the market, right? And they're millionaires, and they are really looking at all this as an opportunity. And so act like them. Like if you've got a window, this narrow window of time, 6 to 12 months, I would say better to do it in 6, which you can do it in 6. Then act like them now, right? Get yourself in a position structurally to be able to act like them now, because you still can. So, and then Dahlia says creditsesame.com is the best place to grab your free credit report. Isn't annualcreditreport.com the best place to buy us?
Yeah, you can get one from annual credit report. I say that it's I will go to any one of the big three directly, and I would just pay the 29.95 to monitor your credit. We also have one called Credit Score Hero that you can come get through us, and I'll try and put that link in here. You guys can also go there and pay for your credit monitoring there. But I would definitely say that you need to start monitoring your credit. That should be an expense. You want to know right now, you want to have eyes on credit, eyes on structure.
And I want to just say one more thing. Sorry, I'm running my mouth today, but I want you to think of this. Everyone that's listening, I want you to think of it as leverage. In other words, yeah, you can come out of pocket a bit, right, for the expense, even if you were to hire Tobias, right, and have him do set a bunch of stuff up for you. But the leverage that you get is sort of exponential, right? Because even if you were to do like Tobias's full package of like the trust and all that, what it affords you in terms of it literally prints money out of thin air, right? When you get your credit straight and have access to capital, right, that you didn't have before, you're printing money out of thin air. You're creating capital that you did not have before. I want to just have you think of it that way because we often think of it as an expense, but what it really is leverage. So I yield.
Yes. And then a lot of people don't understand. Um, you have to you have to invest in yourself. Okay, so like our full package is 6,000, right? Well, I'm giving you, you're getting for that 6,000, 50 to 100,000 in personal credit, 50 to 100 or 200,000 in business credit, and your structure is set up correctly for the tax benefits, which Al is going to go over a lot of that. So kind of think of it as an investment. If I told you, if you give me 6,000, I'm gonna give you a $200,000 credit card, it would be a no-brainer. But because we don't think like that and we procrastinate as human beings, we wait till the last second, and it's gonna be too late in 6 months to a year to get the type of results that you can get now. Now, if you already have that stuff set up in the next 6 months and you start working on it now, when everything falls down, you're gonna have what, 190 plus thousand dollars worth of credit to play with. How much do tax deeds? Almaz has a room and a program for tax deed sales, real estate, buying and selling cars on Toro and all of that stuff. Look at all the opportunities. The car prices are going to come down. The real estate market's going to come down. Everything's going to come down, and you're going to have a pocket full of money and leverage to go get these things that are going to be for the next 5 to 10 years, assets that are cash flowing, which in turn you can put inside of your trust, which creates more value to your trust every time you do it. You're creating a wheel and you're growing it and growing it. But it takes time to set that structure up, get you on the right path so that you can have that opportunity down the road. And a lot of us don't want to invest that in ourselves because we weren't taught that, and we're uncomfortable because we don't know that information. But then when the information comes out and they start doing the seminars and teaching you, they're really kind of stealing your money because it's already over. You'll see the seminars start coming out in 2024, 2025, after these guys done bought up all the good deals. Now they're going to come get your money and sell you sell you the same stuff that they bought for half the price. So you got to get on like my brother says, Al, the right cycle. So you have to get on the right cycle of the economy to move with this stuff. And if you don't have your structure set up right now in the next 6 months to a year, that's where you're going to be taking a major hit. There will never be a time you hear them talk about the transfer of wealth. There's never going to be a time where this opportunity happens in our lifetime again. This is like the 30s when the whole market crashed. There were people that made millions of dollars, millions and billions of dollars off of that crash. So you want to be in that position. A lot of people are going to get hurt. You're not going to be in position to help your family survive. Your grandma, your mom, they're not working anymore. They're going to need you. So if you fall down, everything might be on you. You see what I'm saying? There's going to be nobody to get there. As I say, I'm the last defense. I'm the first defense and the last defense. We operate like that in our family. So if everybody's operating like that and we're all doing cooperative financing with each other, investing together, and not no When I say cooperative financing, I mean professionally. Contracts, trust, everybody knows who's getting what up front and what we're doing. We're meeting. Like it's a business. Your family is a business and should be run as such. So that's a little bit to kind of frame up what Veronica was asking. And it should make a lot of sense to everybody hearing that. Invest in yourself and get ready for what's coming. We're here to help you guys. It's not a lot of people out here who are doing it, especially for the price that we're doing this for. It's a great deal, and I try to make it affordable because we need more people like us in to work together. We don't need to go give 50, 70, $100,000 to somebody that's not going to bring money back to your community. Okay, hold on one second. Let me find Almaz here. All
Oh,
right,
are you trying to bring her up? Oh, you brought her up. Okay.
I think I
Yeah,
got it.
remember what I always say in my rooms? Control everything, own nothing. I've been vindicated. Control everything, own nothing. And I've been preaching this and preaching this forever. So please, we're sending out the warning signal here. I'm just gonna be straight 100. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Shit is about to get real out here. Do you want to be the diner or do you want to be the dinner? That's what I'm just saying. So please
Yep,
heed what he's saying because he's in high finance. He sees these things. He tells me these things. He tells Veronica these things. He is behind the scenes seeing everything, and he's giving information that mere mortals don't are not privy to. Do you think if all these banks knew how they operated, if we all knew, we would never get jacked up? Can you please talk about the Bank of America nonsense that we had talked about in the other room?
absolutely. And
Please,
I'm
thank
gonna
you.
I'm gonna segue to Al on that one because he was the one that pointed that out to me before we even came up with that. We were on the lookout for that because that's the last sign of things going south. So you want to elaborate on that a little bit, Al?
Yeah, I can say a little about that. Well, what happens is at the end of these cycles, they opening everything up to minorities. There's a black gentleman at the Federal Reserve of St. Louis, where he was giving a talk to black people or minorities about um, this particular cycle. So when you see that, when you see the programs go out to minorities and stuff and this high prices, then you know the crash is coming. Because what they're doing, they're trying to get all your money in, and they know that you'll be out of these houses in 3 to 5 years. Simple. Economics will come up, jobs will go out, you'll lose your home. That's really what they're trying to do, which really brings on how to protect yourself with these trusts. And I'm going to go off of what Tobias said, which is structure. With your structure, what you want it to really look like in the end is you at the very top. It's a pyramid. You at the very top. Your trust is in front of you as protection. Then you have a LLC, which you might call like a mothership, in which all your other LLCs flock out from that. That's going to give you your full protection. Now, people may say, well, what do I do with it? They're talking about leverage and value. So maybe I'll just give you a little strategy how I might look at it. Say you have a music career, you've written a book, you do hair, you're going to give a tutorial, right? Well, one of the most powerful things about value is intellectual property. One thing about intellectual property, it's very vague about how it can be priced. So this is what I might do maybe if I had one of those type of projects to look at it or how I would fund this thing. So what I might go do is one, make that part of my trust assets. I'd give it a particular value. When I give it the value, what I'm going to do now is I might go to Fiverr and find 3 people to give appraisals or write-ups on the ability of my product, which now you have 2-3 professionals. It's like getting an appraisal on a house, right? If they agree upon that, then now they're giving you a prospective value upon what you're doing. Once you got the value, I'd get that product insured. Insurance creates the money. Once I do that, I have the power to write an instrument backed by, that's a bond or bill of exchange, or I can make it collateral on a collateral instrument, backed by that, and then I take that to the bank. Tobias, that's kind of what I had, unless someone had a question.
And I know this might be some new terms for everybody, but does everybody kind of understand? Because it's not typical operating like this, because we're not taught to operate out of trust. It's not like you're going to get a person. Oh, can everybody hear me? I got bumped off.
Oops. Okay, there you are. You're back. You're back now.
Okay. Yeah, so hopefully I'll kind of back up a little bit. Hopefully everybody kind of understands, because this is something that we're going to have to work on a little bit. I'm going to try and do this room at the same time so it's consistent, so we can start getting some questions. It's not like going to with your personal credit or your sole proprietorship to start going to try and get um, credit cards or personal loan. Like, this is high finance. This is you talking about what Al is talking about in his example. You're talking about millions of dollars. This is what Jay-Z does. This is what Irv Gotti does as far as like music. Quincy Jones. This is the stuff that they were doing, and you try to figure out like why are these people so much more successful in their music career than these guys, even though their music might have been better. Their companies are structured really good. This is some of the high finance stuff that we're trying to teach you on operating out of a trust. So when we're talking about it, look at it like this. When you sign a mortgage, right, you got a promissory note. That promissory note is going into a trust. When they're bundling all of that up, they're giving it a value, right? And they write up a prospectus, which is a business plan in SEC land or stocks. And then off of that prospectus, they give that a value. Well, now they're selling that. When they bundle it up, it's just paper. Somebody agreed to pay it back. You're doing the same thing with your trust. You're operating the same way. This is what the Rothschilds are doing. This is what people who do big business do. But if you're not structured right in the beginning, like we're trying to get you set up to do, you won't be able to understand any of the other stuff. And we're going to have some courses and stuff, where we're putting this stuff together and teaching people this stuff, because it takes a second to get. But if you already have it set up, then you can be creative. And it's, the same thing for any business. No matter what you do, the strategy might be different. So he gave you a music strategy, I just gave you a mortgage company strategy. You might have trucking. You can do the same thing with your trucks. You might have you might be a beautician. You might want to open up several stores. It will be the same thing, putting it in the trust and then being able to back whatever your future dealings are with a piece of paper. It's the most beautiful thing in the world once you understand it. Because you don't have to go through a credit check. There's going to be nobody sitting there saying, "Oh, well, let me see. I need to see your last 18 bank statements. Yesterday, you went to the car lot and you bought a car, so yeah, we can't give you the loan." Oh, you skip past all of that. You're essentially approving and banking with yourself.
So Tobias
Really,
and
all
Al, can you do that with like I have courses, right? And so do people. Some people in this room, like they have their coaches or they have trainings or teachings that are sort of even pre-recorded. Would that count for that, like intellectual property? I'm sure it would be. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And remember, debt is money. So any contract is money. So you're going to be creating contracts as a way to create the money. But yes,
Yep.
that would be a perfect example of something
Wait,
that you would have valued.
can you drill down on that? How would I, because I have tons of contracts, how would I use a contract to create the money?
If the contract has a signature and an agreement between two people, when that contract is signed, it is the money. So what you might do is do something like take an instrument and attach it to your contract. Now that instrument, like a promissory note, what we talk about, becomes the instrument that actually signifies the money for the debt on the contract. So if I
Get
was to do
the
that
fuck out of
properly,
here. Get the fuck out of here. Are you kidding me?
no, I'm
Oh
not.
my God, I just got it. Are you serious right now?
Yes,
Holy
yes.
shit. Sorry, y'all. Ah! Okay, so I'm gonna, my tail's wagging, but I'm gonna go on mute. Okay, keep talking.
Yes. So yes. So what you would do, you would set up that debt and create that promissory note. Go get what they call a Cusip number for that and make it negotiable. And now you do have an actual value that could even be brokered, taken to a broker or your banker.
Okay, so hold on. Okay, so Chris is saying, say that again. Wait, can I? Okay, I'm just gonna just bear with me. Okay, so as an example, and I know that, and I'm saying this both from my own perspective, but also because I know other people in this room have products, programs, services that are just sort of intellectual property that's sitting there. I'm gonna call it underperforming, right? It's an
Right.
underperforming asset. So what you're saying to me, let me just get this straight with numbers. Let's say I've written $200,000 worth of, or sold $200,000 worth of intellectual property in the last year, let's just say, for example. And I have
Right.
contracts for each of those transactions, invoices, contracts, all that. Are you saying to me in 2022 that I could take that $200,000 and write an instrument and have that? I can do what with that instrument?
Yes, because that money is owed to you, right?
Well, what
If
if
the
it's
money
been
is owed,
paid? What if it's people that I've done business with?
um, if it's been paid, what I would do in that case, if I wanted to try to expand in that sense, I would have that value, like how much did I pay for it, right? Then I might go out and say grab a couple of hard copies of it. How many units per unit? Say I go back old school and I get some CDs of your program,
Right.
right? I might order up a 1,000 copies, but I might say these copies here are worth 1,000 a piece. I'd put that in my trust and have that valuated as such. Like I said, you get your 3 appraisals, and then you go in and take that information, and then you turn that into a offering. And there's ways that you can take that offering in and turn it in for cash.
So let's say it's 200
But let me
grand.
ask
I'm just
you,
making up numbers. So let's just say it's 200 grand. I could turn that to an offering for how much inside of my trust?
At that point, I'd say what I would do is say, "Oh, well, I've already made 200 grand. So how many copies did I sell?" Then I would take and say, "Okay, I sold this amount of copies. So what I want to do is project out to 3 to 5 years how many copies I would sell in there from that short time to give it the value."
Get the
so
fuck
that's like
out
when
of
you have
here. Sorry.
so that's like when you have manufacturing and you have all of these like receivables that are due to you. And I know
Yes,
that people used to go to the bank and get money on those receivables until it's satisfied in order to pay like their workers and things like that.
Factoring.
exactly,
Yeah,
Factoring.
factory. It's
exactly.
like when you're working in a factory. Yeah, because I when I was in college, I worked at a factory and I was working in receivables. So I remember that they used to go to the bank and get loans on their credit
Back,
on their receivables. Yeah.
correct. That's that. But you're just creating. You're kind of, it's creative financing. So you've already established the value. So if you actually had that amount of copies, then any appraiser would have to see that you had, and then you would do the business evaluation and project out for 3 to 5 years, giving yourself percentage increments, hikes in your sales over time.
That is wild. That is that's wild. Okay, thank you.
And then most importantly, see, you started to get it, Veronica. Now here's the second part to that that we mess up on when we do business. We don't write our salaries in. It's very important that when you go do all of this stuff, you're a CEO. That's a job position. A CEO of a company gets paid a salary. A vice president gets paid a salary.
Right.
How much staff do you need? All of that needs to be written
And
down.
it has to be payroll. Does it have to go through a payroll company? Because I've done that before. I'm not doing it lately, but does it have to? Does putting yourself through a payroll system to pay your salary, does that legitimize it?
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And that keeps you from dipping into the operations funds of the business. See, what we do is we set it up and we don't set that up. And then we don't have all of our stuff straight when we go into the bank. The bank expects you to do that. They don't, when they give you the money, they don't expect you to go do all the jobs. So we don't account for, okay, when you come in, you got to come in with a business plan. It's come in. Can you guys hear me? There we go.
Yeah, we can hear you. Are you going to make this room a club and make it private and have club members? I can
Yes.
get you all the club members you want, but I've been in different areas where people have been sharing information, and other people who don't want to come into the rooms, I'm just going to put it out there. Palm colored people are streaming information that black people give to help black people into their rooms, and a man was able to buy a shit ton of property in Arkansas because he was in one of the tax sales rooms. So I'm just saying, I'm just saying.
Yeah, we
Um,
are going to start making this room private. We're probably going to do maybe one or two more. I just wanted to kind of give everybody a preview before we turn it into a private club. But this is where we're going to be talking and disseminating this information. And I actually got a billionaire that I'm gonna bring on and let him talk about how he made his money off of government contracts and everything. I just met with him a week and a half ago, and I'm going to be part of his foundation. So this is going to get real private quick.
all right, because Tobias, I love you. I love Veronica. Al, I think you're gorgeous, and I'm very protective of my friends. I'm very protective of the people that I care about. So I'm extremely protective. So yeah, let's lock this shit up and call it a day.
Yeah, definitely. So a lot of the a lot of the structure and everything with this stuff, high finance is all strategy. So that's why you got to kind of take it on a individual basis because your business and trust and goals might be different from the next person. So, and that's why we're approaching it like that. And we gave the scenarios to kind of let you guys see the different things that are possible and open up your mind a little bit to let go of some of the stuff that you were taught so you can start rethinking a little bit. Does anybody have any questions? Raise your hand.
So, what do we see? What can we do within the next 6 months to get ourselves, for the people in the room to get situated? When you set up your club, and then we're all going to join your club, of course we are. And what do we need to do in order to get, started? What's the what should we do? And another
Um,
lady, B Walden, in the comments said, "Can you give an example of this using real estate?"
yes, that is
That's
I'm
an
gonna
excellent
pass that one to
question.
Al because he has a pretty good strategy that he taught me. Um,
Uh, if I was going to maybe get into a real estate deal, remember the contract is the money. So what I might do is go get an offer sheet signed. Once I have an offer sheet signed, I have a contract with a some certain amount. So I might take that and create my promissory note backed by that, with that property being the collateral that I'm trying to purchase. Then I would get a Cusip number for that and take it in to the bank. Was that good enough?
yeah, that's something that we do also. You have to get an identifier for your instruments, and that's something I won't talk about doing that publicly here because the replay is on. But we help you do that when you get your trust set up, so that when you take it into the bank, they can negotiate your instrument. And then the first thing that I would do if I were you guys, I pinned our website up there where you can go sign up. Schedule a consultation with me. It's free. We'll take a look at your credit profile, and we can discuss your goals and everything, and get you set up with your on your road to your trust. It takes a while to set up. It's not an overnight thing because we got to kind of make sure you got the right structure because you might have done things differently than you should have, and it's a case by case basis. But that will be your first step right there. You should be able to see it. I'll try and drop it in the chat for you guys as well. And yeah, come on and check us out, man. I mean, we studied this stuff for a long time, got a wealth of knowledge that we're willing to share. And I really want to see this time because I got hit over my head real good in 2008. And I vowed to never be in that position ever again. So
Tobias,
I can
I
act.
wish you and I were real cool back then. I mean, we know some of the same people, but I wish you and I were cool back then because I would have took you straight to the tax sale. You would have had, because 2008, I was like, recession? What recession, honey? Me and my group, because it doesn't matter if it's an economic boom or bust. If you're looking to get properties, tax sales, they will be holding tax sales no matter what the state of the economy is. And when the bubble bursts, that is people are not paying their taxes. And this is this whole thing with this Bank of America. This is what they did during 2008, during the early 2000s, giving people that didn't have enough credit to buy a damn big wheel, and they're buying houses. They're buying houses, all right? And they couldn't afford those houses. So now 5 years because they gave a balloon and the arm hit in 5 years. 5 years now. That's a lucky number. That's the number. All right. In Hebrew, it's achad, shtaim, shalosh, arba, chamesh. 5 years. So at the end of those 5 years, you were underwater, you couldn't afford to pay it, the balloon hit, so instead of paying $1,600 for your mortgage, you were paying $3,000 for your mortgage. You couldn't afford it. The banks put you through hell to modify the loan. Most people didn't know what to do with it. They gave up. They left their houses. The banks were able to grab them back because nobody was paying the taxes on them. And then they're selling those same houses back to you. And this is what is happening again because if you read the BOA stipulation, it says if you buy those houses, you have to live in that area for 5 years. And 5 years. So at the end of those 5 years, it's gonna be cyclical and it's gonna happen again, and they're gonna take your properties away from you, and then they're gonna sell it to people who can actually afford to buy it, and they're gonna give them the interest rates that are viable. This is exactly what's gonna happen again.
Yep. And they run the same play every time. It looks a little bit different, but it's the same play. And I wish I would have known Almaz because we would have got it in. I had
Oh,
no idea back then.
we gonna get it in when this shit blows up, when it goes to hell. I mean, you'll be back in Ethiopia eating injera with me, chillaxing. So I'm just saying that we'll all be in Ethiopia chillaxing. So what I'm saying is, and there was a lovely lady in the comment who wrote, I don't have a business. Should I still have a trust? Aren't you a business? Aren't you running your life as a business? You own a car. You even have an apartment. You are your trust. You are your business. Don't ever look at yourself. You are your own entity. I don't know if that's the right way to frame it. No, the BOA is not the same as NACA, nowhere near it. Okay. You are your own entity. I don't know if Tobias and Alkin and Veronica can back me up on this, but you are your own entity.
Yes,
Yep.
I agree with that totally. And, also even down to your cell phone, it should be in the trust name. What you really don't want, they call it minimum contact. You want to have a minimum amount of contact with the system. That's why they create these entities so you can interact with the system, kind of like interfacing with the computers. That's what you're really trying to do. So yes, you're correct on that.
Thank you. And I'm telling you, you really need to get with Tobias. It is free. He will help you. I've seen the miracles that he's worked. The man is like Helen Dam Keller. Him and Al are like Helen Keller with this shit, okay? They're the miracle workers. I'm telling you, I've seen it. I've seen what they did with Veronica. I've seen what they've done with other people. You really need to get it, get yourself together. Do not procrastinate. I have issues with procrastination too, and I'm working on it every day. I'm in therapy for that stuff. So just please, things are going to get tough. You have to think of yourself as your own entity, your own business. Your social security is an entity. When they ask you what your social security number is and they check in your credit, that's an entity. Everything, yeah, everything can be put in that trust, even your firearms. That is an asset and it should be part of the entity. Now, look for instance like Jeff Bezos, and they're like, oh my God, Jeff Bezos, he's buying, they have on the news, oh, Jeff Bezos just bought $100 million yacht. That's ridiculous. And he doesn't have to pay taxes because he is his own entity. So what he does is he borrows off of his Amazon stock. And because he's getting a loan off of that stock, it's not considered income. So therefore, he doesn't pay taxes on it. And everything is in a trust. And I'm sure they can back me up on that. And I will yield and let the grown men speak. But am I correct, Tobias?
You are right on point. And for the lady that was asking about that she doesn't have a business, you're the perfect example of why you should have a trust and a business. Even if you're not going to do anything with it, you can be building up your credit and building up your bank statements and everything, and running your money through there and writing off your cell phone bill, your car, your expenses and everything, until you figure out something that you want to do. But now guess what? When it's time to do it, you pick the business up, you walk into the bank, you're already set up that day. Boom. You don't have to start from scratch and then start trying to figure out, now I got to clean my credit. Now I got to go do this. That's what we're saying, being prepared. And as a matter of fact, a smart person will be going and setting up shelf corporations that we do that too. We'll show you how to set up these, well, you should have 4 or 5 businesses. They call them on a shelf, but they have open bank accounts, and you're paying the registration on them and all of that. So with the state, so that when you have an idea, you got like a loan. You're loaning yourself money. You don't have to go to the bank and go through a credit check. You just go grab the corporation that's already in your trust. You got a bank account on it already. It's registered with the government to do business and get government contracts. You're gonna go down there and talk to Almaz, go pick you up a couple of tax deed sales. There's no reason, even if you don't have anything, we're giving you ideas. You got people around you that have ways that you can make money. You can actually set up authorized users. We do that too, where just you having a credit card, for example, I got a Wells Fargo card. I got 10 slots that I can add people on, right? It's a $10,000 limit. I can put that on your credit, just the trade line. I can add you as an authorized user, and you give me $500, and it'll boost your credit from a 680 to a 750. Just throwing out numbers. Well, that'll be on your credit for 60 days. So now when you're ready to go into the bank and you need that little boost to get you up to the A paper we're talking about, then now you got 10 slots. That's $500 every 60 days. That's 5,000 bucks. $2,500 a month off of one card. Now, what if you had 10 cards? You do the math. That's a business right there in itself. So these are the type of things that, while you're waiting, you can do, and you're creating income and putting that money away. Now you can go get yourself some real estate. You can go, Get a course to find out this, educate yourself, invest in yourself instead of sitting there and having a 750 credit score or poor credit, even worse, and not knowing what to do with it. Let me check the chat here. So if you got a question, feel free to raise your hand. I know maybe a lot of new information for people, but I hope I got your wheels turning. Chris Cummings, what about taxes in the IRS? We're going to go a little bit into that. I'm not a financial advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. I got to throw my disclaimer out there.
You're
But
gonna have to ask Set Free about that, and please back channel her and collab with her on that because taxes is her forte.
say her name one more time, Almaz.
Set Free, Set Free. She was up.
Set Free.
She was in my room earlier.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then
she's
we'll get her on there, and I'll put her if she doesn't mind, I'll put her name in there so you guys can find her.
yeah. Oh, they know who she is. They know.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. There's tax advantages to having a trust. There's more tax advantages than not. And Al is Al has a good example if he wants to talk about it that he gave me about Walmart and why they don't pay taxes. You want to talk about that, Al?
Yeah, I can talk about that. I looked a little bit at Walmart and Amazon, some of the major companies' taxes, and what it really is knowing about what to go into before the year starts. So every year the tax code changes. So what you want to do is look at what the tax code is doing and structure some things in your business that do those things, create a budget for that, and then that budget would be tax deductible. Or you might want to, if you have profit, you might want to buy accounts receivables, which Tobias has some outlets for. You buy accounts receivables, then you balance your books like that.
Yep. And it's all about getting those books as close to zero as possible. So there's some of these like every year he said everything changes, right? So there may be some dollar for dollar tax breaks that you can get. Walmart's real good at finding that. And dollar for dollar means you got tax credits, you got regular tax credits, then you got redeemable tax credits. Well, some of those redeemable tax credits you can get dollar for dollar. So you don't necessarily even have to do the project. You just have to have the department and the budget set aside to do it. And then you can claim it on your taxes. You can have the idea and get it started, but maybe you didn't finish or something fell apart, you still get the tax credits for what you spent on there. They're doing things like that. That's like a tax strategy thing.
Yes,
And
and
so,
oh,
go
excuse
ahead.
me. No, I would just wanted to add on to what you were saying. Amazon did that exact thing. They set up to build a whole bunch of warehouses that were going to be all renewable energy, and they used that for their taxes. But they didn't actually build the warehouses. They just changed the plan for the next year.
And they probably changed that plan to something else that was along the lines of getting themselves some more tax credits for the next year.
Correct. Correct. I yield.
So, it's just being creative. Um, I just want to make sure that you guys kind of get a gist of what this room is going to be about and the value in it. We're not going to be on here publicly talking about this stuff because I don't want to release too much out there. And then, like Almaz said, people take information and run off with it. So, but it will try to be the same time this, every Sunday, private, probably maybe do one or two more rooms and then we'll lock it up. But I will leave you guys some way to get a hold of me in case you want to get in the room privately and join the club. But I look forward to working with a lot of you guys because I hear a lot of smart people that are doing a lot of great things in Almaz's room and Veronica's room. And man, It's so much that can be done if you guys get this part of it down. And it takes a while, takes a little bit of time to kind of refocus your thinking, but the clock is on right now. That's why I'm pushing so hard, because the opportunity is going to be gone in the next 6 months to a year and a half, and it's not going to come back for a while. You know, if you got started late, you're just going to have to sit the round out on the merry-go-round until it comes back. So get off the fence and get started. All of our information is there. I'm accessible. Um, just make sure you go on there and sign up, and make sure you put all of your information in there. If I don't have a phone number to call you back, um, I can't talk to you. And we got so many people coming in right now that we have to be able to get you in the system, get you signed up and started, because I want to get you guys in a group and kind of take you along together in this clubhouse so we can get some of your answers, your questions and things answered, and get your strategy correct for whatever it is you're trying to do. And we will be available for consultations and everything like that as well. And yeah, I really am happy that I know some good people. There's plenty of places that you can go and make extra income if you don't have your own business ideas until you find one. We got ways that you can create income while you're working on it. But we can take you from your personal credit and leverage you all the way up to your trust. And you will have some sort of income to cover whatever your bills and expenses are if you work hard and you study a little bit.
See, and
Or
this
like
is
with me, like I teach people how to build courses. You know, Almaz came through my boot camp. I teach people how to build courses all the time so that you can package up and sell your expertise in a lucrative way. And I really know that game inside and out, and I can teach you how to do that. It costs money to have you do that, but it's leverage. I've had people walk into my courses, pay 5 or 10 grand, and then turn around and sell 20, 30, $40,000. It's a very cash rich business. So yeah.
and the whole thing about it is Tobias is giving you your consultation for free. No matter what, it's going to work for you. This is one of the real MVPs and an OG in this credit and trust game that's here in these clubhouse streets, giving you a bit of information to help black women, black people, because what do black women and black people have? Black children. And we have to think about our futures for our children. Things are getting tough out here. And I'm just so sad that a lot of black people are going to be glamored by this BOA thing, and trust and believe. Once BOA gets started, soon enough, Wells Fargo is like, oh, well, let us get in on this game too. And then you're going to have, Citibank, let's get in on this game too. And then you're going to have, Chase, oh, let's get in on this game too. They can't have all the fun, BOA. I'm telling people, do not be glamored by this. I know people are getting glamored by it and like, oh my God, I can buy a house with no money down and blah, 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 blah. But take heed. Don't do it. Get your credit and your trust together so you won't even have to need to go through all of that. Use the tax strategies that Al and Set Free talks about to make it work for you. Time is of the essence. That's why I stopped, opening up rooms for about a month and a half, because I've been working on these tax sales so hard to get my students up and out with their own tax sale properties, and they can move on, monetize it, and go. Time is of the essence. And I'm not saying this to be like some doomsayer, Debbie Downer, but I saw this in the early 2000s, and now the cycle has happened. It's 15 years now, and now it's happening again. And black people, we get glamored, because it's like, oh wow, it's a big bank. Well, they really can't, they're not doing this to this. They're trying to help underserved communities. No, they're trying to get you to lose your properties in a legal way so they can take that shit back and sell it to somebody else.
Exactly. Because what happens is when they foreclose on you, and people don't have knowledge of this, they never lose money. The casino never loses money. Everything's insured. You actually paid for the insurance. So they would rather foreclose on you, pop the insurance policy on your home, put that in their pocket, and pay back all the investors that invested in these real estate investment trusts, which they call RITs, and then take that house and create another promissory note in the deed and do it all over again.
Hmm. I used to work for Sam. If people don't know who the REIT king was back in the day, it was Sam Zell. And I used to work for Sam Zell. And I used to see how they used to do things on the inside. And when I was working for Sam Zell at his real estate investment trust here in Chicago, I realized, and he went to my synagogue, so it was like they just, he gave me an in. And once I realized the inner workings, then I realized that mortgages are okay, but they're usually a scam. I'm sorry. But yes, that is how they get you. Houses are insured. Houses are insured. If you have a $200,000 house and you lose it in foreclosure, by the time the insurance gets it and all the other rigmarole gets it, the servicer gets it, and they get their money out of it and they resell it, that house has generated damn near $1 million for all the parties involved. That $200,000 house, by the time it goes through the revolving door of getting it back to Fannie Mae and the bank doing this and the other institution doing that, they've generated over $1 million for that $200,000 house that was foreclosed. So don't think those houses in the hood are worthless. It's a lot of money there.
Yep. And that's a great place to get started just in real estate period is those that's where they're going to go this next time this round comes. Start looking in the areas. They got like a 40-year cycle, and Al can kind of talk about this as well. And they come back, you build a new neighborhood, families live in that neighborhood. It's an affluent area. Then when those people get older, their kids take over, or they turn them into rentals. Neighborhood's still kind of nice 20 years in, 25 years in. You have a crash, right? People lose their jobs. The property values go down because people aren't taking care of it. And then you have the kids of those kids come back to the area for the nostalgia, and they come in that and bring their retirement money and start um, buying back the property and building the neighborhood up. It goes on in every city in the United States, and I would beg to differ to say maybe in the world. Almaz is from overseas. I'm sure she sees the same thing everywhere.
Oh yeah, it happens everywhere. You know, it happens everywhere. And like in Chicago where I'm at, it's very segregated here, and they call things white ethnic neighborhoods, like on the south side, Mount Greenwood, Hegwish, Beverly. Those areas have always been white and stable, and those neighborhoods have never changed. Okay? Because they didn't do the white flight when two black people started moving in, and they usually pass those mansions down to their children and grandchildren, or they sell them. So what I am saying is, don't sell Granny's house. Pay the taxes on that house. Don't sell Granny's house, even if it's in the hood. Those hood houses are worth millions to those banks and financial institutions.
Yes, they are. And you can always, if you don't want to deal with all the problems of doing the property management and all of that, go hire somebody to do it. Remember, you're running a company. Elon Musk doesn't make all the decisions about what happens with the cars. He's not designing the engines and the handles and picking the seats. He's just saying what he wants, and other people are going out working on that. So if he's not a specialist on designing a computer system, he's going to go hire somebody to do that. We need to start thinking about that.
Exactly. You've got to start thinking about these things. I mean, look, Jeff Bezos can't be at every Amazon warehouse. He's got to have people to manage it. He can't be at every Amazon warehouse. Walton's kids can't be at every Walmart store. So you have to think bigger. You have to think bigger than, just hire a management company. They, depending on the area, they take out between 7 and 10% of the rental revenue that you're generating from that property. What's 10% of $1,000? So think about it in that manner.
And remember, if you
And
have it set up correctly and it's in trust, it works. So, Sabrina, you want to speak? I see you're muted.
go ahead. Sorry, love.
It's okay. One of the things I also want to speak to you all about the 85-year-old grandmother's house, to avoid inheritance tax. If it's in the trust, there's no inheritance tax.
Thank
You
you.
you all have to know about setting things up properly and not at the last minute. I have about 35 years in the industry. Also a mobile notary, and I'm the person that is running to the hospital to sign documents, to transfer documents or properties into a trust before someone passes away, trying to avoid something that could have been taken care of when we all are in our right mind. Um, if we want to create generational wealth, if we want to create longevity, we have to do things differently. I sit in a bank right now, because I want to, not because I have to. um, the release of B of A doing the community mortgage at 100% financing. Those products are around and they've been around. They've just not been promoted. Um, the bank I work for currently has that program, and it is a good program for some, but not for all. There's caps. There's still, that word I will say, redlining exists in those products. So you have to be mindful of that too. So it's just a way to keep us in bondage in a sense. But if you're smart, you'll go into the suburban area with that product and then transfer it into the trust after you've purchased it. So, one of the things I just want to interject, you have to be strategic in what you do. And if you're strategic in what you do, you can be successful even using the program the B of A just released. So I would say don't knock it if you know what you're doing, and being strategically taught how to utilize the community mortgage programs in our communities and taking it to the suburban areas. If you make less than $52,000 a year on paper, it works. And I know because 99% of everything I own is in a trust.
Man, that is excellent information. And you heard it from somebody that's in the bank. I'm telling you guys, this is how you're supposed to operate. And it's so sad. I'm a notary as well. And you go in and, the family's panicking, they're arguing over money, you're sick, you're dying, that's a lot of stress. You never know, the person could pull out of it. She can attest to this. It's sad to see it. Something that would take maybe a few months to get all structured and set up. And a lot of people don't do it, or they wait and procrastinate, and then something happens. Tomorrow's not promised, so make sure it's set up today the correct way. You don't want to be on your deathbed and be like, oh man, what about the house, what about this, what about that. You should be comfortable when you leave here to know that all of your affairs are in order.
Tobias, one other thing I want to interject. Not giving anybody any advice, any legal advice, but you can even generate income from a trust if you're a trustee. There can be a fee that's attached to the trust. Again, just being creative about what you do, how you do it. And there's nothing illegal about that. And using the trust as a pass through is very, very powerful.
Yep.
Everyone, please follow Sabrina. And you're going to be speaking in my room in a couple of weeks, right? We got to lock down a time.
I'm not on Clubhouse much. I'm actually in Aruba right now, and somebody just tagged me and pinged me and asked me to come
Oh
in
my
the
God,
room.
girl, have living your best life, baby. Aruba, amen. Yeah, but
Hmm.
these are things that we as Black people, we got to do better about this stuff, because I'm a nurse by profession, even though I've been vested in real estate and I've done the tax sales and I've taught tax sales and da 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 for years, and I've helped women achieve this. We've got to do better, because me working as a nurse, just from my observation of dealing with people, dealing with grandma, big mama, me, mom, granny, grandma, and my guesstimation over the years that I've been working, and this is in England, this is in other countries, this is in America. You know, I was a traveling nurse, I worked all over the country. I can honestly tell you, I could count at least over the years, grandma's house as a collective, the families have lost over $20 million in assets. I'm talking about people that grandma had farmland in Mississippi, outside of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. This is just going from my memory. Brownstones in Brooklyn, brownstones in Harlem. A lady whose granny, they screwed up the house. She had a house in Baldwin Hills in Los Angeles, which is what they call the Black Beverly Hills. I mean, her house was right next door to Tina Turner's house back in the day. And they screwed it up. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. They didn't apply these strategies. They waited, they procrastinated. What did Tobias say? Procrastination is the cancer. Okay. And I'm looking at this. How much are houses in Baldwin Hills now? How much is farmland outside of Tuscaloosa, Alabama? How much is a brownstone in Harlem? How much is a brownstone in Brooklyn? It's a lot of money that, grandma or grandpa worked very hard to save up, and now that money, that those assets are gone. That could have been used to have generational wealth.
Yep. And
Tobias,
that's what. Go ahead.
um, I want to give you guys a. This is a true story, and this is about myself and my grandmother. I was living out west, making $250,000 a year. I owned a house, I owned a condo, and I owned a lot of real estate. And it was during COVID, and I wanted to move back to Ohio, or look like I was moving back to Ohio. And on paper, I didn't make enough money. My debt to income ratio was too high to prove where my $50,000 down payment was going to come from for my $300,000 purchase I was going to make in Ohio. What I did was I transferred my grandmother's house into a trust. My grandmother sold her house to another trust. The money she made from the sale, she gifted to me as a down payment. It was all my money. All the trusts were family trusts. They all had federal tax ID numbers, and I was able to buy another house in Ohio. But that was because I knew what I was doing, because people say working in the bank, I'm too dangerous. But I knew the ins and outs of how to be able to get that to work, and also have a paper trail on where my down payment came from. And literally, the money, the sale for my grandmother's house sat in escrow, never came to me, and I used the same title company to close on my house. There was no tax consequence for my grandmother making the money she made from the house. Um, we closed out that trust because it had made no money, and we put it at a zero balance and transferred the trust into another family trust. We pay no taxes on any of that.
Strategy to the highest order. God bless you.
Yep, man, that's that. She's explaining to you guys, and we've never met. She's explaining to you guys the exact same thing. We have people out here in our communities who know this stuff, but you're gonna have to take time to dedicate and invest in yourself. It's not free, but it's worth the investment. Some things are just worth the investment, and if you guys are taking it serious, it comes back to you tenfold. Just the fact of being able to have knowledge on how to limit your tax liability is powerful in itself. Think about it. Think about when you have a business and you're paying $30,000 in taxes versus maybe getting back 1,000 or two, or being even, or only paying $500. You go around and you start cash flowing in these businesses. You got to figure out what to do. That's a problem for millionaires and billionaires. They're making a lot of money, but they're trying to figure out what to do with it, because the system is set up for you to where if you're not operating right, you're not gonna have money very long. You can make a lot of it, but you're gonna lose a lot of it at the same time. The game is tax shelters. different ways and tax shelters that you can use legally. You don't have to cheat. You just have to learn the rules to the game. Al, do you have anything that you want to add on to that, and we can start wrapping it up?
No, it seems like we covered everything. I'd just like to thank everyone for listening and hope everyone got something out of the presentation. I yield.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or anything that we can maybe answer that you're unclear on before we wrap it up? Let me check the chat here.
No, thank you. I appreciate you so much, Tobias. This is so good because it's you know, we've been screaming from the rooftops, but we really mean it. Like the time is now. The time is now. The time is now. So I hope that everyone heeds that. Because this window is real. You know, everything that Tobias said weeks ago, you're seeing it all over the news and economic reports. So it's not this is not an illusion. This is real time. It's coming. So act accordingly. Love y'all. Thank you, Amaz, for also doing that pre-room about it so we could get people in here. Appreciate you always for doing what you do. Thank you.
My
And
my
then,
pleasure. My pleasure. I mean, Al, Tobias, I cannot thank you enough. You guys are amazing. Sabrina, we have to do a room together, a private room, with my crew. Mass to the Max room, Tobias's room. I mean, the information is there. The information is there, and you're getting a lot of free game here. But you really need to sign up with Tobias. I've seen the miracles that he worked. I mean, how much student loans? I mean, the stuff that he got off of you, like $1 million worth of stuff when you were going through your divorce, Veronica. I mean, that's a miracle. That's
Yeah,
a
it was
miracle.
about 400,000, almost close to 500,000.
Yeah, that's a miracle. A lot of people would have been crying in their soup. And Tobias handled it like a champ. And Sabrina, I just wanted to thank you for coming in and just vindicating, validating, and just saying everything that we've been saying. I mean, she's an expert and she's at the bank. She knows how it works. They all know how it works here on the stage. I mean, I know how it works a little bit from what I've seen, but I nowhere nearly have the knowledge that they do. Like I said, I'm not the brightest light bulb in the box. That's why I'm always surrounded by people who are way brighter than me in a lot of areas. And these guys are the best. And they're giving you this information and they're helping you. So please, it's free. Sign up, get a consultation, see, bounce some ideas off of them, see where you want to go in your life. Protect yourself. Winter is here. Winter is here. And if you're not prepared, you're going to be a rental refugee. And once that happens, you're going to be vulnerable to a lot of other negative things that are going to be coming down the path. So please get up, get prepared. No more procrastination. Al, you're amazing. Thank you.
Thank you too.
all right. I look forward to talking to you guys next week. We'll probably do one more free room, and then I'm gonna lock it up. So make sure you guys hit me and get your free consultation, and we can sit down and get you guys going and get to this bag that's coming. So, and I appreciate Sabrina. I definitely want to get with you and bring you in to talk because you got some very, very valuable information. I can hear it, and you got the experience. I do not know everything, you guys. I know what I know, and I'm a student as well. So, you get around smart people in your circle, and you learn from each other. It makes everybody better, and that's what we're all about. So, you guys have a good Labor Day weekend. I hope everybody stays safe. Enjoy your family and your loved ones. Definitely enjoy Aruba for those of us that are out hanging out. And I hope you have a safe trip back home. And peace and blessings to everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.